Hi, I'm Teresa Hennebury and welcome to Creating an Effective CV. In this course I cover techniques for building your marketing campaign by creating a CV that will catch the eye of a potential employer by showcasing your experience and skills in the most effective way. We'll start by laying the groundwork of building your CV. We'll examine best practice for getting your CV online, including how to find essential keywords which will make your CV stand out in search engines and lead recruiters directly to you. We'll clear up some of the most common questions job seekers have, such as the ideal CV length and how to fill in employment gaps. We'll identify the most popular CV layouts to help you decide which format you should use to build your CV. We'll complete your marketing campaign by taking a look at how to create a cover letter, references and thank you notes. I'm really excited to be able to share these techniques for CV building with you. So let's begin formulating and developing your marketing campaign by creating an effective CV. Before an employer even picks up your CV from the top of the pile, the first thing they will notice is the formatting. If it looks a bit like this, they will probably just skip over it without even giving it a second thought. In a sea of hundreds of CVs, why should they spend their time straining their eyes on an unprofessional, poorly formatted and poorly designed CV? A CV that is hard to read says a number of things to a prospective employer. It could mean that the reader might think that the person is disorganised, they're careless, unprofessional and unconcerned about the reader. Your CV is speaking for you, and as your marketing campaign is designed to get you in the door for an interview, the last thing you want is for the CV to give the wrong impression of you. So let's have a look at some CV formatting guidelines and things to keep in mind when designing a CV. Let's face it, we are by nature visual beings. Your CV is the employer's first impression of you, and your CV's format is most likely the first item that the employer will notice. Upon first glance, your CV should provide a positive visual first impression. It should be professional, visually appealing, easy to read and inviting. Therefore, it is important not to use cookie cutter templates or CV wizard. Most often these templates and wizards do not provide correct formatting and layout, even if those CV templates that can come bundled with some of the most important software applications, and many certainly won't fit the bill in terms of making you look like a competent professional. If you do decide to use a template or a wizard as opposed to starting from scratch, be certain to change the formatting of it. Make it look as professional as possible and make it your own style. You don't want a CV that looks as if it came off an assembly line. Make sure it represents you. Don't try to stand out from the crowd by using a fancy font like Comic Sans. You'll stand out alright, but certainly not in a good way. So it's important at this stage to get a sense of what an employer considers important in relation to a CV. So let's have a look at this video to get the employer's perspective.
Declan, the CV really is a ticket to the interview. Okay, first and foremost, you have to make sure the CV is clear, it's well presented with a consistent format throughout, whether it's Arial, Times New Roman or whatever. Just make sure it's consistent throughout, and that the CV has to be easy on the eye. Okay, so you've also got to make sure that it's concise, and bullet points are actually a great way of mentioning accountabilities or responsibilities instead of having rambling sentences. For the job that you're actually applying for, make sure that your CV is relevant and tailored, okay? That's going to be the key to an employer looking at it and quickly thinking, yes, this is the type of individual I'd like to interview. One key pet hate of clients is spelling and grammatical errors. Shouldn't happen in this day and age. Technology's there to do spell checks, grammar checks.
Declan, the CV really is a ticket to the interview.
Throughout the process.
Okay. First and foremost, you have to make sure the CV is clear. It's well presented with a consistent format throughout, whether it's Arial, Times New Roman, or whatever. Just make sure it's consistent throughout, and that the CV has to be easy on the eye. Okay. So you've also got to make sure that it's concise, and bullet points are actually a great way of mentioning accountabilities or responsibilities instead of having rambling sentences. For the job that you're actually applying for, make sure that your CV is relevant and tailored. Okay, that's going to be the key to an employer looking at it and quickly thinking, yes, this is the type of individual I'd like to interview. One key pet hate of clients is spelling and grammatical errors. Shouldn't happen in this day and age. The technology is there to do spell checks, grammar checks. Okay, so make sure that you do that throughout the process of putting the CV together. And finally, get a friend or a family member to read your CV, put a critical eye over it, and see if there's any amendments they would make. It's sometimes very hard to spot your own mistakes.